Welcome back. News and Talk 1380 WAOK, the voice of the community. Calling 447-263-1380 gets you involved in the conversation. Why does everybody call at 9:30 when the show ends? It says y'all need to call at 7. We got the phone lines, the Jimmy Jam Packs. We can get through as many as we can before the end of the show. But as we're asking this question, is MAGA dead? Is the MAGA Civil War finally taking down this movement, and what comes afterwards? Joining us to talk about this, we have on the line Tea Party Lou. Tea Party Lou, how you doing?
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. The Tea Party preceded MAGA. I mean, what we want a constitutional republic, and we want to keep our freedoms, our freedom of speech. We want to be able to vote. We want to be able to have elections. We don't want to be a progressive, Marxist, godless state, which is what the left has been working toward. I disagree with something that, I disagree with Jason on one thing. I think what's going to destroy our country is read Romans 1, you get to verse 28. I think God's withdrawn his grace. I think he has judgment on us. And by the time you get to verse 28, he's turned you over to a depraved mind, all sorts of evil. You can't even reason anymore. And I think that's where we are when you look at the American people. When you talk about the Democrat Party hasn't done for you what they say they're going to, they do what they say. If you listen to them, Barack Obama came along in 2007, I think it was. It might have been 2008. He talked about his ideology. The Constitution's a flawed document, a document of negative liberties of what the government can't do to you instead of what they must do on your behalf, such as redistributing wealth. That's communism. You fast forward to Kamala. What did she say? The equity part of DEI, it has nothing to do with Black history. You can't even discuss that issue. It has everything to do with the equity part, which is where everybody ends up at the same place. That's where they want to go. And if you look at people that get in power, look at New York City. You know, supposedly the Democrats were all about affordability. What happens in New York? Oh, we're going to have a 9.6% property tax across the board. That's what we're going to have. You have a rental czar, Theo Weaver, who says it's a white supremacist ideology to own property. She thinks everybody should donate 30% to the government, and they get to decide, like y'all are just little pawns on the board on where you live. You know, they're going to figure it out.
But Lou, this is my thing, because you mentioned godless communist. Has any Democrat ever done anything as godless as what President Trump has done the last week? I mean, he's literally attacked. But hold on, Lou, hold on. He is literally attacking the Pope and posted an image of himself as Jesus healing the sick. Has any Democrat ever done something that godless? Just asking that singular question. Has any Democrat in your life done something as godless as attacking the Pope and posting a picture of him as Jesus as to blaspheme? And not to mention saying praise be to Allah twice in the last week.
I think that people like to attack Christians because communism, chapter 2, get rid of God, get rid of family. They like to attack Christians without even having a discussion. As a Christian, I don't support the widespread human trafficking and the associated payments to the cartels that went on across the southern border. Are we allowed to have that discussion? Hundreds of thousands of kids trafficked across the border. No, we can't.
We're asking the singular question. Has any Democrat ever done something as godless as attack the Pope, say praise be to Allah twice to mock Islam, and then post a picture of themselves as Jesus healing the sick with a demon behind them?
Okay, I think that killing 100 million, offering up 100 million souls to Moloch every year is more evil than that. I think you can.
But who did? No. Tell me the person who did that. I want to know the person.
Every single Democrat.
No. I need to hear the name of the person who has sacrificed 100 million souls to Moloch.
That's what we do with abortion. Moloch, you offered babies, you offered them up to Moloch for prosperity. Oh, I want to be able to go to college. I want to have a job. I'm going to kill my child.
So hold on. So you're saying that it's godless to not protect children, but Trump is stopping the release of the Epstein files. Don't you think that's also godless to be protecting a bunch of pedophiles and child traffickers?
I think Congress, they did not ask for releasing the CIA files. I think there's so much more with Epstein
But
that they're
but hold
I
hold
do
on,
not
hold on.
believe
The president controls the Department of Justice. He just fired the Attorney General and put a new one in. You don't need a congressional act to do it. President Trump said every federal agency release the totality of the Epstein files unredacted now. They will be out by noon. So they're protecting a group of pedophiles, which you just said was a sacrifice to
and then you would
Moloch.
be complaining that he didn't redact names. I think that I think you are going down. I think we have things that are more pressing right now.
You
If you
just
want to
said
talk,
sacrificing children to Moloch was the most important issue. We just said Trump is protecting people who sacrifice kids to Moloch. How is that not the Antichrist himself?
why did it take what 6.5 years to declassify files that were just declassified Monday, which you don't have the backbone to talk about, do you? Because there's more than one way to cheat in an election, and you just sit there and pretend that.
Well,
that
Lou, why do you keep changing the subject? We are talking about President Trump saying praise to be Allah twice to mock Islam, attacking the Pope for 3 days in a row, posting an image of himself as Jesus Christ healing the sick with a demon behind him in the clouds, and then protecting Jeffrey Epstein and the Moloch worshiping Epstein class, which have been abusing children for decades. And for some reason, you just dance around that issue and go everywhere else.
Okay. I do not believe Trump is a Christian man. I think he was put in place to give us a chance. I think he's a mirror. He turns people totally nutcase on the left, and I think there's people that are worshiping a false religion if they're, making Donald Trump their savior. God is the one that's in control. I believe Trump is there. I think right now with Iran, he is fighting principalities, the Prince of Persia that was back in the book of Daniel. I think Iran is an evil. They talk about you can ignore our media. You can go to media over there. You can go to memory and play them. They talk about an EMP to kill the great Satan, to kill the little Satan. Now, the CIA may have been lying about that all along. I don't trust the CIA as far as I can fit. I mean, that's what came out on Monday, right? That you won't talk about the Michael Atkinson interview in the Intelligence Committee in the House. And people on both parties were keeping that secret. It showed that the whole first impeachment, the whole Ukraine impeachment, was based on lies. They made it up to protect the Obama administration and the Biden family. And then
Lou, hold on. President Trump does something more corrupt than anything that Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Joe Biden did in their entire public life, literally every Tuesday. He got a $400 million jet from Qatar. He's building a golden ballroom with secret money from donors that's untraceable. He has a world financial global cryptocurrency bank where billionaires are just dumping money into. He has his own golf resort where people are coming to pay to play to get legislation passed. There's nothing that Barack Obama has ever imagined that is as corrupt as a regular day of the week for President Trump. So what is the point of going back to the 2016 election and not talking about the fact that the president you voted for may or may not be, as you said, a vessel of Moloch to help sacrifice souls to the devil, which seems from everything you have described President Trump as being exactly the thing that you hate.
You know why we talk about the 2016 election or the 2020 or the 2024? Because somebody like Ron calls in and says, I saw things change in Kamala's race, yet you are on here. Did you once say, I believe 70% of my votes were flipped? Did you talk about
Look, we have established you won the argument on the elections. You won these things. You can't trust them in the slightest. I don't believe Trump won all 7 swing states. I also don't believe most of these numbers that come out in half these elections. I think we should go back to paper ballots and just have a paper trail where I should be able to go back and say, show me my ballot. And we should be able to do an actual physical audit of it. Like everybody should have like a serial number where I can say, let me see my ballot and let me see my electoral history and let's see if these numbers add up. You won that argument. We're not having that argument currently. The argument we're having is whether or not Donald Trump might be the devil.
24 ballots? Because I think they changed the law last year
Lou,
that once
we're
elections
Lou, we're gonna go to. I gotta go to a break. I appreciate the conversation, but why can't you just simply say the things that this evil man is doing are evil, and I regret my support for him. I might have got tricked. That's all that I'm saying. Thanks for the call, Lou. All right, we'll be back after the break. Calling 447